What's going on, Mason? What's going on, George Mason University? What's up, George Mason University? What's going on, George Mason University? We're back. Double ball! David Bernard.
I'm Perry Buckley.
Lindsay Hokinson.
And I'm DeMonte Shaw.
What's going on, George Mason University? Welcome back inside the Pressbox. I'm David Bernard.
I'm Nathan LaPierre.
Running the two-man crew today with Ryan holding it down, helping us out on the cameras as always. And we want to once again thank you to Director of Fitness Ethan Carter for allowing us to interview him last week and allowing us to use the beautiful facility at the Aquatic and Fitness Center. If you haven't checked it out, it's beautiful. Definitely want to get a workout in. It's the place to go, along with the other two facilities as well as the Rack and Skyline. But thank you once again to Ethan for holding us down and hooking us up. And today we have a special PTI edition of the Press Box. And so first, let's go. If you've watched PTI, pardon the interruption.
Yeah.
I'm Mike Wilbon.
I'm Tony Kornheiser.
And we're going to get right to it. And so first, UConn won we had an unlikely national championship game. If you had UConn and Kentucky in your brackets, congratulations, Nostradamus, you are a genius. Because nobody's bracket had UConn and Kentucky in the final. Of course, UConn ended up winning 60-54. What do you think about UConn winning the whole thing? I mean, you're talking about two teams in the finals that didn't necessarily play too well in the regular season, and a 7th and 8th seed make it to the finals, and UConn ends up winning the whole thing.
Yeah, like I was talking about the other day, I mean, the last few years it was kind of crazy because a lot of low seeds would win and you'd have your stories like Butler or Wichita State, but eventually some one seed would come in and clear everything up and bring it back to normal. But this year no such thing happened. I mean, they just kept dropping. Kentucky dropped a 1 seed. UConn dropped a 1 seed and a 2 seed and a 3 seed and a 4 seed. Yeah. So it went the whole distance this year. And I think what you're really seeing is the playing field is getting more and more balanced. Yeah, and I think hopefully we continue to see stuff like this throughout the tournament every year. This year it's been shocking. Everybody had their consensus of a few teams of who were going to win, either Florida or Michigan State, Louisville. Those seem to be the popular teams, the popular picks to win it this year. Of course, none of them ended up making it to the finals. Right. And I think even regardless of your bracket, I think as sports fans, that's what you want to see. Because the thing about what it comes down to the tournament is a few things: momentum, matchups, and if you can just get hot at the right time. And sometimes, even if you're one of those top seeds, you end up running into a team that you just don't match up well against. And it's all about playing. If it's a 7-game series like the NBA is, of course the better team's always going to win. Mm-hmm. But on that one game, on that one night, it all depends on who's going to be able to, as you can see, my timer is ringing. Wrap it up, Mike.
And so as you can see, it all depends on that one game, that one night. And if you can catch a team slipping on that one day, then you can advance in the tournament, as we saw. And so next up, we have the UConn winning actually both the men's and women's championship. The women ended up beating Notre Dame in pretty handily.
Yeah, it's less surprising. I mean, the men's side was the really surprising one. The UConn's women's program is an amazing program. They always do very well. Gina Auriemma is an amazing coach. Mm-hmm. And on the women's side, it's definitely a lot less balanced. You really get your heavyweight teams like UConn and Notre Dame, sometimes Stanford or Duke, that are just so good, and they just, they go undefeated, basically.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So it's ridiculous. So, yeah, the women's team obviously is amazing. That's a legendary program on the women's side. Now there's kind of a debate coming up over whether the UConn men's team can be considered, one of the all-time great programs with 4 championships now. I don't know. I mean, it's starting to get there. I don't know if it's up there with some of the ones that have won it like 15 or 16 times, like UNC or Duke, but it's definitely getting a lot of reputation. They've won several times fairly recently with Shabazz Napier, and then going back to Kemba Walker, and then going back to Emeka Okafor.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think you have to put UConn definitely up there with as one of those top programs in college basketball, along with UCLA. I think they won 11, and Woodin won 10. I think 10 of them, and then you have Kentucky winning 8, and so UConn. I think UConn is definitely one of those programs that could be considered one of the all-time greats. I mean, they're a program for the most part that models consistency. That for minus the bands, they're usually always in the tournament, always usually making some type of run. And I mean, can you imagine what the scene was like over at UConn? I mean,
oh no way.
They probably didn't have classes all week. They probably still don't have classes.
Yeah.
But I mean, that whole scene, just when you have it, let alone not only having one of your teams win it, but have both the men and women's team win it.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's crazy. So got it that time. It's a PTI timer. And next one is our Pressbox challenge. If you were part of the Pressbox challenge, of course, we had the challenge, and whoever had the best bracket was going to win a prize. This year, I mean, besides winning our prize, you could possibly have. If he's smiling over here, there's a reason he's smiling. I'm about to get to that in a second. He's smiling. He's cheesing real hard right now. Of course, besides our personal prize package, chance to win $1 million or $1 billion from Warren Buffett if you got that perfect bracket, which nobody did. But we had our own little challenge of our own, and the winner of said Pressbox challenge,
me. Yes, I am champion. Bow down. But it was it was a good competition. I was and shout out to AJ Glass for making me lose some sleep. It was really close. If Andrew Harrison didn't hit that shot at the end of the Kentucky-Wisconsin game to win the game, I would have lost. So it was really close. I had 4 games left, and I was like, all right. So if I win any of these games, like I win the whole tournament. So I have 4 games. So clearly, like I have great odds, right? And then UConn happened. They beat Michigan State. They beat Florida. Kentucky beat Michigan, and those were the first 3 games. So I was like, oh God. And then I was following the Kentucky-Wisconsin game, and that was very good games. So
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that was really close. So
yeah, well,
good Pressbox challenge.
Yeah. I bet it was good for you.
Oh, it was good for me. Yeah.
I finished.
Didn't win that billion, but
I finished in a non-distant third, just to put that out there. Okay, if it wasn't for Kentucky knocking down a few shots here and there at the last second. Played well, by the way.
The vandalizer.
Yes, the vandalizer would have won. But anyway, I digress. I will be back once again to claim my rightful spot.
Oh, so will I.
Patriot doesn't approve of your winning. Patriot doesn't approve of your winning. Now, the NBA season is winding down. Winding down on that last few days, last final games of the season. And of course, I think as every fan would love that the games coming down the stretch actually matter, which is no difference this year. In the Eastern Conference, we have the New York Knicks and the Atlanta Hawks battling out for that final seed, with the Hawks holding that 8th spot with a couple game lead over the Knicks. And Cleveland kind of, whatever. Yeah. So, between the Knicks and the Hawks, who you got?
I'm going to go with the Hawks just because there's only 3 games left. They're up, they're up a game and a half, I believe, so I think they'll finish out. It doesn't really matter. Neither of them are very good.
Yeah.
I mean, Cleveland for a while was a story because, they want to keep you interested and make you think, oh, maybe they have a chance, but they don't. So that's over. But, yeah, I'm going to say Hawks.
Yeah, so.
Just because.
I'm also going to go with the Hawks as well. I mean, these 2 teams are pretty much playing to be eliminated in the first round. As much as Indiana's been slumping, and we're going to get to that in a second, whether it's Indiana or Miami, whichever of these teams, the Hawks or Knicks, make it, you're going home in the first round. The question is if you're going to get swept or if you're going to maybe get a game at home.
And the way Indiana and Miami are playing, you're probably not going to get swept, I don't think.
Might get a game
now,
if you're lucky.
Yeah, make no mistake, those teams are going to come back. They're too good to not come back. They're going to win their first rounds. They're going to be the heavyweights in the East. But they could drop a game or two if the way they're playing right now.
They could. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I think again the Hawks are getting in the playoffs, but the Hawks they just don't have the fire. Well, I wouldn't say firepower. They got a little something, but they don't have the manpower to be able to overcome either one of those two teams. Yeah, they'll probably get a game or so, but congratulations to either team that does make it and does go home. Congrats. But let's move on now to the best conference in the NBA, the Western Conference, and a more competitive and compelling race coming down the stretch for the 8th seed. These three teams, the Phoenix Suns, Memphis Grizzlies, and Dallas Mavericks, all are vying for positioning in the 7th and 8th seed, and all three teams are pretty much neck and neck. Every single game matters. None of these teams can afford a loss. So, let's just go. And to a certain extent, the Golden State Warriors are battling there as well with their loss recently. So, I mean, they're most likely going to get in that 7th seed still, but who's the odd team out who unfortunately gets left behind and doesn't make it in?
Yeah, I agree. Golden State's going to make it. As far as the 7, 8, and 9, it's really tough. I think it's going to be heartbreaking either way. I mean, I want to say Dallas. I think Dallas is going to make it because they're up on both of those teams right now. I don't think they'll fall behind both of them. Boy, Suns and Grizzlies, it's really tough to say. I'm going to go with the Suns just because when there's only a few games left, even a 1-game difference makes a huge difference. So I think just by already being in that 8th spot, I think they're going to stay there. But
so you got the Grizzlies being the odd team out.
Yeah, it's going to be heartbreaking though. I mean, those teams all deserve it. They're all very good teams. They're better than almost all the teams in the East, and one of them's not going to make it. So it's kind of sad.
Yeah, I think it's baffling. You look at the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies would be tied for 3rd in the Eastern Conference. Just let that settle in. They'll be tied for 3rd in the Eastern Conference.
And they're 9th.
And they're 9th in the West. And so one of these teams is not going to make it in. The Grizzlies had a big win recently over the Heat. I think the Grizzlies are going to be the team also to fall out. I definitely think Dallas is making it as routine, Memphis and Phoenix. But I think at the end of the day, I think Memphis will be the odd team out.
I agree.
And Phoenix will get that 8th spot as bad as it is, but that's how it goes. And as fans, you could ask for anything better to come down to the last second. So, free agency news. Some more free agency news. Usually free agency, the top free agents usually get picked off on the market early on within that first few days of free agency. This year for one particular player is a little different. Namely, one Deshaun Jackson, formerly of the Philadelphia Fly Eagles Fly. Now, taking his talents to the DMV area, as Stephen A. would call it, Chocolate City, to the Washington Redskins. So, what do we make of Deshaun Jackson in the burgundy and gold?
Yeah, shout outs to Matt Newman for as soon as the Eagles dropped him. I mean, he's a Redskins fanatic, so he's going to be.
If you're a fan of the show, you know how Matt feels about his Redskins.
So of course,
RG3.
As soon as some big free agent was on the market, he was like, "Oh, what if the Redskins get him?" And I was like, "Oh, whatever." But then they did apparently. So it's a very good pickup. Obviously, our offense is going to be so hard to stop now. I mean, with so many fast players. I mean, not only Deshaun Jackson, Andre Roberts is very fast. Pierre Garçon led the league in receptions last year. Jordan Reed, a very fast, athletic young tight end who got 500 receiving yards in half a season last year. And what that's going to do now is Deshaun Jackson, you can't leave him alone on the outside. You just can't. He's going to burn you for a 50-yard touchdown, right? So now they can no longer stack the box like they were doing against Alfred Morris last year. So that's going to open up the running game too. Alfred Morris was already a Pro Bowler last year
call him like Matt calls it.
when they were stacking the box against them all last year. They can't do that anymore. So the offense is going to be really tough to stop. So it's exciting. It's really exciting. Personality issues. Maybe you'll see that crop up. I don't think so in the first year. I think he wants to prove the Eagles wrong. So I think he'll behave well for at least 1 year. So, but as far as talent goes, it makes our offense really dynamic.
Patriot approves. You took all the top on them, so nothing else.
There's a lot to say.
We'll come back to that topic, I'm pretty sure, again. So, first place in the Eastern Conference, like I said, we're going to get back to that, and of course we are. Between the Heat and the Pacers, of course. It's been a different race. As opposed to both teams winning, lately they've been losing, especially the Pacers, who it was a foregone conclusion a couple weeks ago when they beat the Miami Heat. Had about a 3.5 game lead, which evaporated due to their inconsistencies on offense and inconsistencies and inability to win in general. Now find themselves a half game over the Heat with a few games left and a big game coming up, which of course we're going to continue to touch on later. But ultimately, who gets that first seed?
I really don't know. It's like a backwards race. I mean, they're both they're losing their way into the end. It's like they're trying to moonwalk into the first place. So I really don't know. It's hard to say. I
like that.
Yeah, I just came up with that actually while you were talking. So
nice. On the spot, right here on the press box.
Freestyling off the dome.
Hey.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna go with the Pacers. I just think they're going to right the ship. They have a half-game lead. I take leads very seriously at this point with only a few games left, so I'm going with all the teams finishing where they currently are, but it's really hard to say.
I'm saying the Pacers as well, just because they need it more. The Heat don't care about of course you would like the first seed, but the Heat don't care about the first seed. They don't need the first seed. They're the defending NBA champions, and they're the two-time defending NBA champions for a reason, going for the three-peat. It's clear that the Pacers have made this their goal all season long, and if they don't get that first seed, I think they'll just hurt their psyche going to the playoffs. They need that first seed. They feel that if they get Miami in the Eastern Conference Finals at home in the Game 7, that they'll win. They need that first seed. Miami doesn't. They just want to get into the playoffs healthy, get D Wade healthy. So I'm going to go with Indiana winning that first seed just because they need it. So now, talking about the Heat, and of course, one of the nice stories throughout the season that we've been able to follow is the MVP race, namely between Kevin Durant and LeBron James, which I have to give a shout out to Blake Griffin. He's not going to win it, but Blake Griffin's a third, and he's had a remarkable season. When Chris Paul went down and Blake Griffin stepped up and still continues to ball out, he deserves MVP consideration. But it's going to come down to LeBron and Kevin Durant. Who's winning the MVP?
Yeah, it's definitely coming down to those two. Unfortunately, there's no consolation prizes for MVP, so they both deserve it. But and they're tons of players having great seasons. Blake Griffin too, yeah. So I'm going to go with Durant, and I think that's generally becoming the consensus. Slowly but surely. LeBron made some comments the other day that kind of suggest that he's almost conceding the race. He said Durant was the most consistent this year. So I think even he recognizes, like, the jig is up. Like, Durant's finally going to break the streak and win the MVP award. So, I mean, it's been a great race. Durant's just been slightly statistically superior. He was very important to his team's success this year when Russell Westbrook went down, and he carried them basically single-handedly for a while. So I think he's going to get it, and I think he deserves it.
Speed of breaking the streak, the Undertaker's WrestleMania streak ended. It's a sad, sad day for wrestling fans all over the world. That was shocking. I mean, I was watching it. I think Kevin Durant is gonna get the MVP race. I think I went with Durant early on when we've been talking about the topic throughout the season. I went with Durant, and I'm sticking with Durant. I think Durant is gonna get the MVP this year. He's, like you said, he's been the most consistent overall throughout the season. So I think Durant is definitely gonna edge LeBron. I think he might. I don't think it'll be a tight race. I don't think it'll come down to a couple votes. I definitely think that Durant he'll probably win by not a huge margin, but a pretty decent margin, and become MVP, first time MVP. Of course, Durant wants the ring. He wants what LeBron has. He wants the MVPs, but more importantly, he wants the ring. So it's going to come down to, can he take the Thunder back to the finals with a healthy Russell Westbrook, get through a tough Western Conference, and get to the finals. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. You got the Spurs, you got the Clippers, and definitely we're going to dive into that a lot more. You already know how we do here in the press box. And it's April. We've had a long winter. Finally have been able to get a nice string of warm weather outside, beautiful scenery. And with the turn of spring, turn of the calendar, it's baseball season. what are the top stories throughout the season? Of course, the downfall of us talking baseball, we can't really follow it throughout because it happens over the summer when we're not here. But we're going to do what we can over the summer to continue to keep up on the top stories in baseball. But what's some of the things you're looking forward to? Or, I mean, we got Jeter's retirement tour, one of the greatest players of all time. Whether you're a Yankee fan or not, you got to respect Derek Jeter. We know you're not the biggest Yankees fan.
No, I'm the least big Yankees fan, but I mean that's an important story. I guess he liked what Mariano Rivera did. He wants to go around and gather his accolades too. So yeah, that's obviously a big story. Jeter's retirement tour. You have Miguel Cabrera now with this new massive 10-year, $292 million contract that made LeBron jealous.
That's another story.
Yeah. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Often when you pay a player that much,
A-Rod,
you get problems, but...
Forgot about that guy.
Yeah, who's that? Yeah.
He still plays.
So, yeah, I mean, if you're really into baseball, this huge prospect, Masahiro Tanaka, is now pitching for the Yankees. That's a big story. Whether the Red Sox can repeat, Red Sox-Yankees is always a big battle. Nationals didn't make the playoffs last year, but they still have a great roster. They had some injuries last year, so they have a lot of potential to come back and have a big comeback season. They're off to a great start. Gio Gonzalez has been lights out so far, so that's a very good sign. And they'll have the whole battle of the Beltway dynamic because now the Orioles are good too. They've been good the last few years. So, there's a lot of things to be excited about after this first week of baseball, and look forward to the rest of the season.
Yeah, of course, definitely. It's gonna be a great season of baseball.
Took all the time again.
Hey, it's all right. It's all right. This time, you got it. Thank you for the insight. Our resident Pressbox baseball expert, Nathan. But Patriots excited. But we here on the Pressbox we always have fun, and if you want to be a part of the fun as well, now's the time. We're looking for we're recruiting. We're in scouting season. Drafts coming up.
You are here.
You picture yourself here in a few weeks or a few months, next semester, right here, getting in all the fun, being a part of this wonderful crew, and just doing what we do best. Have fun, laugh, and have a good time and talk sports. Who doesn't want to do that? So we know you want to be a part. If you would like to be a part of the Press Box, please send us a message on our page. If you see one of us around, please talk to us. If you know anybody that is interested, just let us know. Let us know, and we'll go from there. Again, talk to us on our page, talk to us in person. Just let us know if you want to be part of the show in any way or form, any talents that you can contribute. If you just want to talk sports, let us know. Can't leave the Patriot lonely.
Yeah.
See the smile on his face?
Look at that.
You don't want to turn that to a frown. You don't want to see the Patriot angry. I mean, he's not happy when he's angry. So keep that smile on his face.
Of course he's not happy.
He wants company. We got to keep him company. So, recruiting process has started. Scouting season. It's the draft process. Let us know. We'd love to have you. Love for you to be a part of it. And as always, George Mason, we want to thank you for joining us inside the press box on our special PTI-like edition.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you to Jake. Jake was holding it down here today, helping us out. Thank you, Jake. Thank you to Ryan, as always, our main man holding it down. As always, I'm Mike Wilbur. I'm Vander Bernard.
And I'm Tony Kornheiser / Nathan LaPierre.
The winner of the Press Box Challenge.
Winner of the Press Box Challenge.
It's all right. Wait till fantasy football stuff come around. But as always, George Mason University. Press on. See you next time.